Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The title of tonight's lecture is Asvatthama is Dead. This is a famous incident from Sri Mahabharata in which an elephant named Asvatthama was killed, and the circumstances surrounding it have remained controversial to the present day. Now that an elephant was killed is not particularly controversial. In the Kurukshetra battle, there were thousands of elephants killed. But the question surrounds the character of Krishna. The story is well known. I'll recount it in summary. The Pandavas and the Kauravas were opposing each other in battle. Before the battle it was an unusual battle in as much as it was an internecine battle, or it was between, they're all the same family actually. And the Pandavas, they had to fight against some of their gurus. Bhishma was one of their gurus in as much as he was an elderly man of the family. Shalya was also was their senior. For that matter, Shakuni was also their superior. Shakuni Mama, he was their maternal uncle. Then Dronacharya, Asvatthama and Kripa, being of the Brahmana caste, were also their gurus. And specifically, Dronacharya was the Astra Guru of the Pandavas and of the Kauravas. So for a Kshatriya, of course anyone's guru, anyone who teaches anything is important, but for a Kshatriya, their Astra Guru, or the one who teaches them how to use weapons, is a very important, respected and dear person. Anyway, as fate would have it, and fate is often complex and unpredictable, the Pandavas were lined up to fight against these of their gurus. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, being a very cultured person, before the battle, he went and took blessings from his gurus. Before a major battle, he took blessings from his gurus, and he took blessings that he could win the battle, which means that he would kill them. It was an unusual situation. He came to Dronacharya and said that, please give me your blessings that we can kill all of you. And Drona said, well, that's very good. If you hadn't asked for blessings, we'd have completely destroyed you immediately. And from Guru you also take advice, so he asked for advice. Yudhishthira asked, well, how can we kill you? This isn't the controversial part. This is all clearly within dharma. So Drona said, you can't kill me. You're just little boys. From Drona's point of view, they're little boys. But that is inferred. It's deduced, or it's understood from Drona, that in Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada states that Arjuna and Bhima, in comparison to Bhishma, they were like figs. So Drona said, the only way you can kill me is if my son Asvatthama is killed, then out of disappointment I'll lose enthusiasm to fight, then you can kill me. So Asvatthama, being of Brahmana caste, although not like a Brahmana, but anyway, Yudhishthira also went to take blessings from him. And he also asked Asvatthama, then how can you be killed? Asvatthama said, you can't kill me. When this battle's over, I'm still going to be alive. So that means that Drona also can't be killed. Anyway, it's a long history. The first commander-in-chief of the Kauravas was Bhishma. He fell, he died, Well, no, he didn't fall, but yeah, he didn't die. He fell. Sorry, I said it right the first time. He fell on a bed of arrows sticking into his whole body. So he was just lying on arrows, and that was his resting place. That's a suitable bed for a kshatriya. So he wasn't dead, but he had that boon from his father that he wouldn't die. He can die whenever he wants to, not just by any other means. But he was incapacitated. And Drona became the next commander-in-chief of the Kauravas. And Duryodhana, he, just like a mahout sticks the ankush, it's called. I don't know what it's called in English, the rod. You stick it into the elephant, and it gets him all excited, and he starts running and becomes you stick it in. You know what I'm talking about? They have a ankush. So Duryodhana stuck a verbal ankush in Drona to get him excited and angry. He said to Dronacharya that you're on my side, you're supposed to be the commander-in-chief of my forces, but actually you favor the Pandavas. You like them, and therefore you're just fighting at sub-capacity. So that got Dronacharya excited. And the next day he was just slaughtering the Pandava troops. And it seemed that he alone would finish off the whole Pandava army. He was so angry. So, what to do? How to stop him? The Pandavas, they didn't have the fighting ability to stop him. So, and he himself had said that he couldn't be killed unless Asvatthama, his son, was killed. And Asvatthama said he wasn't going to be killed. There was no way to kill him. So Krishna thought of a means to solve the problem. In the Pandava troops, there's an elephant who's also called Asvatthama. So he wanted to fool. The point is, he wanted to Dronacharya to be convinced that Asvatthama is dead, and then he'll just lose all interest in fighting. So, what to do? We can't kill Asvatthama, but we have to announce that he's dead. You see, there's a huge battlefield, and the Asvatthama might have been fighting, a few kilometers away from Drona. Huge battlefield, and so many men fighting spread over a huge area. So if a major fighter was killed, that would be announced with bugles, and it would be a major factor. So Krishna wanted Yudhishthira in the presence of Drona to announce that Asvatthama is killed. And in this way take away Drona's spirit, and then he would be able to be killed. And Krishna wanted Yudhishthira to announce that, because Drona wouldn't be convinced unless anyone except Yudhishthira said it. Because Kshatriyas are politicians, and they can, for political leverage, they can tell lies. So Drona, he might suspect it, but he'd want it confirmed if he heard it from anyone else except Yudhishthira. Because Yudhishthira's word was as good as that as a Brahmin, means is always truthful. And Krishna, the supreme truth himself, acting as a Kshatriya, because he was acting as a Kshatriya, then Drona wouldn't accept him. Krishna wouldn't accept it without confirmation. But that's why Krishna wanted Yudhishthira to say it, because he never told a lie in his life. But Yudhishthira hesitated. He was reluctant. He thought, well, I never told a lie. How can I tell a lie and especially one that's going to cause the death of my guru in a way which doesn't seem to be in accord with dharma. So Krishna made some arrangement that there's an elephant in our troops called Asvatthama, so we'll kill him, and then you announce Asvatthama is dead, and then we'll blow the conches, Jai, it's just like to celebrate, and while the conches are being blown, you can say the elephant. And in this way you won't tell a lie, but you'll, at the same time, the job will be done. So the yani, that's the Tamil word, it's the Sanskrit word for elephant, Gajja, Kari, there are different words. So he was killed, and then Yudhishthira announced within the hearing range of Drona that Asvatthama hata, Asvatthama is killed. And the conches were blown, and while the conches were blown, Yudhishthira also announced Iti Gajja, the elephant called Asvatthama is killed. Gajja. And Drona, having heard it from Yudhishthira, was completely demoralized, and in that circumstance the Drishtadyumna, who was born to kill him, killed him. Yudhishthira's chariot, but because due to his great moral character, his chariot that would always go a little bit above the ground. But after this incident, it just became like a normal chariot and rolled on the ground. So now what is the controversy? The controversy is that Krishna is worshipped as the supreme, absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. But how could he induce Yudhishthira, who is the son of Dharma, who is also himself known as Dharmaraj, to commit an act of adharma? This is not proper for God. And the proof that Krishna was wrong and a sin had been committed was that the punya by which Yudhishthira's chariot would go above the ground, that was removed, and his chariot had to come down to the ground. This is the karmi, nonsense, demoniac understanding, or we can say the normal understanding. And people who like to be devotees of Krishna, they mostly don't think about this too much, because they don't understand it. Why not understand it? Krishna is the supreme truth. He is the supreme pure. Everything he does is perfect. But those who are rascals, they will say, well, this proves that Krishna is not perfect. How can you worship him as God? So many bad things he did. Dancing with gopi, marrying so many women. Most of them were already impure. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra also, the Karna was killed due to Krishna's instigation under unfair circumstances. Karna's chariot became stuck in the mud, so he got down to take it out of the mud. In this circumstance, Krishna ordered Arjuna, kill him immediately, now's the chance. But Karna couldn't have imagined why he wouldn't have got off the chariot if he would have imagined that this would have happened. He pleaded, this is not proper, this is not according to dharma. And Krishna said, oh, it's very nice you're speaking of dharma. Where was your dharma when you disrobed Draupadi? Where was your dharma when you had Draupadi dragged into the assembly? Where was your dharma when you, by cheating at dice, you robbed the Pandavas of their kingdom and exiled them? And Krishna went through a whole list of the major atrocities of the Kauravas. Karna had nothing to say, and Krishna told Arjuna, kill him, and Arjuna did kill him in that circumstance. Krishna has been accused of transgressing the principles of dharma, because a Kshatriya should not be killed in that circumstance, only when he's in an equal position to fight. Part of the laws of battle, that a Kshatriya can get down to take his chariot's wheel out of the mud, and then his opponent should not attack him at that time. So these are the accusations against Krishna. And devotees, like I say, they mostly don't like to think about it. They think, well, Krishna's all good and we don't really understand this. But we should try to understand. Bhakti should not simply be a sentiment. And when the demons and rascals accuse Krishna, then those who are devotees, they should be able to rebut the accusations of the demons. First thing we should consider is that if Krishna is actually adharmic, as he at face value appears to be. You know what face value means? It means that's what it looks like. Then why have all the great acharyas, who are great philosophers and very pure in character, why have they written so many books establishing Krishna as the Supreme Lord? One of Krishna's names is Amogha Lila. It means there's nothing criticizable, or there's no blemish in Krishna's pastimes. There are some sadhus who, so they have their public life and their private life. In the private life, you don't want to announce it, because if it's kept secret, it's private, because if it was made public, then people would know that they're not sadhus. In public, they're sadhus, but they're cheating the public and taking their money. And in private, they're doing all kinds of nonsense. So some people are very foolish, and even when all the dirt comes out, they still say, oh, we still accept. He's a great sadhu. For instance, there's one person who is, his followers call him Bhagavan. He lives in Andhra Pradesh, in Anantapur district, I believe it is, and now he's in a wheelchair. Bhagavan in a wheelchair. This is unusual. Anyway, for many years there have been so many stories coming out about his pedophile proclivity. Means he sexually abuses children. So even though these horrible stories are widely circulated, and there are people who have been very close to him, have discovered these things and have become disgusted and written books and made videos and all kinds of things, still most of his followers say, we don't care, we still think he's Bhagavan. So, is Vyasadeva such a fool that he didn't have the good sense to cover up Krishna's wrongdoings? If Vyasadeva had been a better follower, you might say that he should have left out all the bad things, and only in Krishna's biography he should have only put the good things. But Vyasadeva wasn't a foolish, blind follower. He established philosophically how Krishna is the supreme truth. Actually, in all the Vedic scriptures, he's established that Krishna is the supreme truth. And he's included all the major leelas of Krishna in his dissertations. Because the fact is that Krishna doesn't do anything wrong. And if we see it as wrong, that is due to our defective vision. In other words, if we think that Krishna is practicing adharma, for us to think like that, that is adharma. Because everything Krishna does is dharma. This requires a deeper understanding of the nature of dharma than that which is ordinary. Dharma is generally considered to be moral acts which are in accordance with the Vedic injunctions. Now, one consideration is that Krishna is not bound by the Vedic injunctions. He does not have to follow any process. He is not bound by the laws or by any laws. He is the supreme truth. He is supremely independent. He can do whatever he likes. No one can say he is wrong. That is his prerogative. Only he has that. And actually, because Krishna is the well-wisher of all living beings, everything he does is for the benefit of all living beings. He has absolute power. Purna Shakti, all power, but absolute means that it's indisputable. There's no way that anyone can challenge his power in any way. So there's a saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we've seen in modern history that people who get complete political power, they act in a ruthless manner. Just like Stalin was the undisputed dictator of the USSR. And he killed several million of his own citizens. Because if anyone showed even the slightest hint of any dissatisfaction or disobedience towards Stalin, he would be killed. So out of total fear, he kept everyone in control. Krishna has absolute power, but he is not corrupt. Everything he does is for the benefit of everyone. But it is an important principle that everyone should understand, that Krishna is not bound by the laws of nature, he's not bound by the laws of dharma. He is constitutionally independent. No one can question what he does, and nevertheless what he does is for the good of everyone. Now the Mahabharata especially is it brings out so many points of dharma, because dharma is very complex. How to act properly in this world. Dharma teaches us this. And general principles are given. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, don't steal other men's wives. Respect and serve superiors. These are all principles of dharma. But life is very complex. Sometimes not telling a lie can be adharma. Lord Krishna himself gave an example that by failing to tell a lie, a Brahmin went to hell. One Brahmin lived at the edge of a village next to the jungle, and he had taken a vow never to tell an untruth throughout his life. So one day a man came running up looking very fearful and said that I'm a merchant, I'm carrying a bag of gold, and there's a gang of robbers chasing me, they want to kill me. So tell me where I can hide. Brahmin said, you just go in the edge of the jungle here. So shortly afterward a gang of thieves came running up. They said, did you see a man running this way? We're chasing him, he's got a bag of gold, we want to kill him and take his gold. So Brahmin said, yes, I saw him. So where did he go? Brahmin said, he went this way in the jungle. So the Brahmin didn't want to tell a lie. So the thieves followed the Brahmin's direction, they found that man, they killed him and took his gold. And the Brahmin didn't tell a lie throughout his life. And when he died, he went to hell. Because in that situation, to tell a lie was dharmic. He did not understand the principles of dharma. The principle of protecting a person who's in danger of his life is a higher principle than that of not telling a lie, and it's a higher principle even of maintaining a vow. So things can be very complex. So actually in that circumstance of Drona being killed, it was necessary to kill Drona because the Pandavas should win, because they were the Pandavas were the ones who were going to rule according to dharma. Therefore, the means justified the end. And actually, the whole of the Kaurava forces, they didn't deserve to be dealt with on the platform of dharma anyway, because their whole position was totally adharmic. Karna's stating that to kill him in that situation would be adharmic. Well, Krishna exposed his hypocrisy. It's like a gang of thieves, they steal some money and then they sit down and say, let's divide it fairly and honestly among ourselves. Where's the question of honestly sharing it among themselves when the whole endeavor from the very beginning is dishonest? So Krishna demonstrated the principle that indeed in dealing with adharmic people, we'll try to deal with them as far as possible by dharma, but for the higher necessity, we may also deal with them in a manner which would normally be considered adharma. And actually the most important point about this can only be understood by devotees, that what actually is the nature of dharma anyway? What is proper and what is improper? What is proper is that which satisfies Krishna. What is improper is that which does not satisfy Krishna. What is proper is to have full faith in Krishna. After teaching Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Krishna told him, Sarvadhaman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all varieties of religion and take complete shelter in me. But Krishna himself is the persona, he is dharma, and the highest dharma is to surrender to him. So in this world, dharma is a means to regulate our activity. But if we become attached to simply being moral and pious and good, but we don't surrender to Krishna, then we didn't come to the real platform of dharma. We're only on the platform of worldly dharma. So, to fully surrender to Krishna, even in the face of everything that everyone else may say and they may think is right, or that is full surrender. The full faith that whatever Krishna does is for the benefit of all, even if I can't understand it, that is surrender to Krishna. And in this instance, Yudhishthira Maharaj being asked to perform an activity which appeared at face value to be adharma, by hesitating to do that, Yudhishthira Maharaj exhibited the pastime of not being fully surrendered to Krishna. So materialistic people think that Yudhishthira's chariot went down to the ground, it failed to go above the ground anymore, because Yudhishthira Maharaj, he had the fault of executing adharma, being goaded. That's the word, goad. So the ankush, the English word is goad. Being goaded by Krishna to do so. Being prarit, inspired. This is a total misunderstanding which materialistic people who have no knowledge of the actual nature of bhakti are sure to make. The chariot went down on the ground. The fault of Yudhishthira was that he failed to wholeheartedly and unhesitatingly follow the order of Krishna. So everything in Shastra we can understand if we understand Krishna's position as the supreme truth. The problem is that people take it very lightly and they don't want to go very deeply into these subjects. The people properly trained to understand and explain these subjects are very, very few, and the modern education in which there is doubt in anything transcendental, this has overtaken the world. And those people who still want to follow bhakti, they prefer to do so out of sentiment, because they think if you start asking questions it gets too complicated. But actually it's not that difficult to understand, but it requires to be enlightened about the correct perspective. But it requires us to give up our materialistic perspective. Only those who have complete faith in Krishna as the supreme truth, they can understand this. But again, try to understand this faith in Krishna, the supreme truth, is not dogmatic or sentimental. Vedas has given the Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam to systematically and philosophically uphold Krishna's position as the supreme truth. And it has been further upheld in very deep philosophical treatises by great acharyas, especially Srimadvacharya, Ramanujacharya. And less known, but should be more known, of course, Sri Jiva Goswami of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Of course, we can't expect everyone to be a very great philosopher, but at least try to understand Krishna as he explains himself in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada, who is the representative of all the acharyas, has presented Bhagavad Gita as it is. Try to understand Krishna through Bhagavad Gita as it is. Yasmin vigyatam sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati. By understanding this simple point of Krishna as the supreme truth, everything is understood. If there's any question about this, anyone can come and speak in the mic, or you can write it down on a piece of paper, and we'll read it out for you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Whose manifestation is Prabhupada? Like Ramanuja is manifestation of Adishesh. Prabhupada should be an avatar Purusha, so whose manifestation is Prabhupada?
He didn't reveal this to us, nor is it important for understanding his teachings. Whether he's Adi Shesh or Garuda or whoever he may be in his intimate service to the Lord, the facts that he presents, we have to accept it on that basis. Otherwise, anyone can say they're an incarnation of this, that, and the other. We don't accept what Prabhupada says because he's claimed to be an incarnation of this or that, but because he's a servant of the Parampara. Just try to understand what Srila Prabhupada is saying, and that it's on the basis of that which is given by all the acharyas. Srila Prabhupada is the representative of Adi Shesh and all the parshads, all the associates of the Lord. Don't think his position is any less than that of Adi Shesh. You see, that's the thing. You think you have to put everyone thinks you have to put a symbol, or you have to show their greatness, and then you can accept what they say. But Srila Prabhupada, what did he say? That's his greatness. That Ramanuja is claimed to be a form of Adi Shesh and Lakshman. That's not the criteria for understanding what he says. Similarly, Madhvacharya is claimed to be Bhima, and Raghavendra Swami is claimed to be Prahlad Maharaj. It may be, but we can't accept what they say simply on the basis of such claims. Anyone can claim to be anyone. It's the truth of what they presented. It's truth. It's not dependent upon whether they're an incarnation of anyone else. Try to understand what they say. Don't be lazy and think, well, he's an incarnation of Adi Shesh, so alright, we'll just accept it without thinking. That's not how they taught us. Krishna didn't present Bhagavad Gita like that. He didn't say, well, I'm God, so just accept what I say. But he presented everything in a manner which we could understand with the intelligence which he gives us. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.